Hello fellow daydreamers, and welcome to the second part of me explaining to you how I set my goals in my bullet journal. In case you missed the first kind of half reflection through my level 10 year life system, maybe go watch that video first and then come back here. I'll only be mentioning that one here briefly. So I've been bullet journaling for 5 years now, and as one does, one refines the spreads each year, trying to mend it to the ever-changing life. That's what I've done. So my goal setting has gotten more and more complex, so it would fit in many dimensions of my life. I'm particularly happy with the setup I have this year. So in the very beginning, it's a simple entry just with a few big key happenings that will summarize the year of 2023 for me looking back on it one day. The next page shows me the word of the year, which acts like a little motto cheering me on. And next to that, I formulated my level 10 life, for which I chose 12 areas this year, each one represented by one of the 12 zodiac signs. So it all goes with my overall yearly theme of astrology. On the back of that wheel is where I further defined these life areas, and based on my scoring in them, I decided upon my quarterly goals. Here is where I will start my deep dive into my goal planning. Rather than having an exhaustive list of goals for my entire year, I go with a quarterly plan. That span of 3 months is much more clear and easy to overlook for me, and I can mend my goals to the kind of lifestyle I have with each season, because that changes as well. I have some videos on that as well, if you're curious, because my actions depend and are motivated by different weather, seasons, cultural aspects, holidays. That all plays into it. Every quarter has its own distinct energy. While spring is setting me up for success, summer is all about staying strong and acting upon that setup. Autumn, after the long summer break, is here for risking something and reach for opportunities, and winter finally is there to settle down again, reflect and find back to oneself. And of course the cycle could look very different for you than for me, so I'd recommend you just find your own kind of cycle and system that works for you through trial and error. And if you are able to find out these patterns in your life, you can try to work with them instead of contradicting them. I also list only a few broader things or areas in life where I can goal plan more into depth on a monthly basis, so I'm not that overwhelmed when I look at that one yearly page of 1,000 different little goal steps. I just have 3 or 4 major points per quarter, and they also always go with the vibe of that season that I'm currently in. So whilst I set up healthy and or productive routines in spring, I try to stick to them in summer through adding more balance, and in autumn I want to branch out with the newly gathered energy and a half-year break from university, and it's where I'll also reach out, travel and try new things. And then finally in winter is where I will practice finding back to my most inner self, so I can start it all again in spring. So after deciding on all those different goals throughout the year, I come to my most fun spread that I really love the most this year, and that is my yearly roadmap. This kind of layout is inspired by Cheshire Curran here on YouTube, and I just fit it to my own needs. I used colorful patches to signify the different seasons in the year, and then I started placing the bigger projects and goals within those seasons, connecting them through a path. Branching off from the path are many smaller side projects that came up later in the year, sometimes wholly independent from the bigger goals. And sometimes it's just clarification or action steps toward the bigger ones. And then living through this year, I started to color in the bubbles I completed with the corresponding season colors. And as you can see now, the path has gotten very detailed and maybe a bit confusing where I threaded it. Most of the bubbles got colored in though. Going forward, the path is not that dimensional yet, but it is an ongoing process, and since I have the biggest pieces to it, I still will be able to follow a direction. And this single spread is so really motivating to me, because I can see where I've already been, what I've achieved, all the key moments in my goal journey this year, and I can see a more or less open path on where I could go next in the next few months, next week, tomorrow, And it makes me really curious having this more of a blank side to the next half year, and I kinda can't wait to see where I will go. And in case you haven't noticed yet, I'm a very visual person, so drawing out this map before going into more specific micromanagement and goal planning is very beneficial to me. And if your mind works in a similar way, maybe try out this roadmap for yourself, because you can literally map out your future doings and where you want to go. And I also think this roadmap layout could work in many different scenarios. You could do a roadmap for only one specific goal and do those more little steps toward it, and you can see how far you've come along. Or you could do a whole month or even a 5-year plan could change the span of how long this roadmap will serve you. Or you can do it more holistically, like I do, for like one whole year for all my goals. I hope this video inspired you some, and I thank you so much for watching. And if you like content like this, feel free to subscribe. I'm happy to have you. Until then, bye!